The 48 Laws of Power, a summary and shadow commentary by Seth Czerepak, based on his book, Awaken Your Shadow. Law 1. Never outshine the Master. A gift that must be seen is not a gift. It is a hunger wearing one. By Seth Czerepak.
There is a reason Greene put this law first, not because it is the most ruthless, because it is the one that talented people break the most and the one whose punishment they least expect. The law in pure cliff notes: never outshine the master, make the people above you feel comfortably superior, serve them, impress them, but never so brightly that they begin to feel small in your presence. Let your victories look like their victories. Let your best ideas arrive wearing their name, because a master who feels small does not thank the light that made him feel that way. He starts doing the quiet arithmetic of his own replacement. Your excellence, displayed without discernment in the presence of insecure power, does not inspire gratitude. It inspires fear, and frightened power does not negotiate with the light. It extinguishes it. Greene's warning is blunt. The talented who ignore this law do not merely stall. They vanish, and they never see it coming because they thought excellence was a defense. That is the law stripped to the bone. As strategy, it is close to airtight, and I will not pretend otherwise. But now put on the lens this whole series is built on, because Greene tells you what happens and Jung tells you why. Jung taught that whatever a person refuses to face in himself does not disappear. It falls into the shadow. And from the shadow it runs him. And Jung taught something stranger, the mechanism this first law secretly stands on. What we cannot bear to see in ourselves, we project onto other people. The face we hate in the room is wearing something we buried. Now look at Law 1 through that lens. When a master destroys the servant who outshone him, that is not strategy, that is projection. Your light lands on him like an accusation. It drags his buried smallness, the mediocrity he has spent a career hiding from himself, up into the daylight. And rather than face what just rose in him, he kills the mirror. Greene calls it insecurity and tells you to manage it. Jung would call it a man meeting his own shadow in your shining face and hating you for the introduction. That is why the punishment for breaking this law always feels insane, out of all proportion to the offense. You are never punished for the work. You are punished for what the work showed him about himself. Now the commentary becomes a confession. I have known this law for almost 30 years. I could have taught it, and I still break it, not once, not twice. As a pattern running through my whole working life, if there is one law in this book with my fingerprints all over the broken glass, it is this one. Let me show you the first time I understood what breaking it costs. I was 26, and I was at the bottom. I took a job at one of the biggest motivational seminar companies in the country, selling coaching programs by phone, because I needed work and had nowhere else to be. 30 seconds into my first coaching call, I knew I had found the thing I was made for. And I closed that call. Most reps there sold about one program a week. Within weeks, I was closing 3 or 4 a day. Then I noticed something that changed how I sold forever. A yes is a yes and a no is a no. The person who will not say yes to $1,000 will usually not say yes to $1 either. So I stopped leading with the small program and started leading with the biggest one the company had, and let the $1,000 program become the fallback instead of the ceiling. I wrote my own script for it, and here is the moment that matters. I pin those pages, lined notebook paper, to the wall in front of my desk, and people start drifting over to read them. I made copies for anyone who asked. No angle, no motive. I wanted to help, and I wanted the message to reach more people. And the whole floor rose. Reps who had sold one program a week began selling close to one a day, because they had watched it done and now believed it could be done. I broke every sales record that company had. I became the trainer without ever being given the title, and then the master did what unfaced shadows always do. There was a manager above me who had watched all of this, and when the day came, he pushed me out, and part of what he used to justify it was the work I had handed out for free. I had made the floor rich. I had made myself replaceable on paper, and I had made him feel small in his own building. The paperwork said one thing. The crime was another. My light had introduced that man to his own shadow, and he never forgave me for the introduction. Here is the part I most need you to hear. That was not the last time. This has happened to me in one form or another more times than I am comfortable counting, and the stakes climbed as I climbed. Years later, one of those times, a person I had helped make millions of dollars turned around, accused me of wrong I did not do, and took legal action against me. I will not name them, and I am not going to argue any case in front of you. I am telling you only because of the pattern. Different rooms, different decades, different masters, one common denominator in every one of them. Me. For years I told myself the story you may be telling yourself right now, that I was punished for being good, that small people cannot bear a bright light, and there is truth in that story, but it is half a truth, and half-truths are the shadow's favorite food. Because projection runs both directions, the master was not the only one in that building with the shadow. In my book, Awaken Your Shadow, Chapter 9 is about the part of me that was actually running those rooms. The charismatic self, every one of us carries it. Its birthright is influence. Its gift is to be seen, to speak, to move people. When that self is welcomed and matured, it becomes the messenger, and the message passes through it clean. But when it is exiled, it does not die. Nothing you bury dies. It performs. It has to shine everywhere all the time, whether the shining serves the mission or sets it on fire. It eats applause the way a starving man eats, fast and without tasting, and it is never full. It cannot enter a room without needing to take it. Jung said the shadow is not only the dark we hide. He said there is gold buried in it, the living part of us we exiled to survive. My gold and my curse were the same buried thing, wearing two faces. That is what Greene never told me about his first law. The question was never only, is it wise to outshine this master? The question underneath it is, who in me needs to shine this badly, and what is he starving for? So no, I will not hand you the counterfeit lesson. I am not telling you to dim. The deficit is not the answer. The one who spends his whole life shrinking so that no king ever feels threatened and dies with the light still in him, unspent. And the counterfeit is not the answer either, the performer who takes every room and cannot explain why he is exhausted and alone when the applause stops. Integration is the answer. The charismatic self brought home can shine on purpose. It can also hand the light to another person and lose nothing. Because it is no longer feeding, it is serving. I know the difference now because years later I went back to that same company, this time as the manager. In my first week, I found a man at the end of his rope, a school teacher a few weeks into the job, drowning, about to be let go. I pulled my desk up against his, close enough to see the sweat break on his brow during a live call, and I fed him the bolder lines he would never have dared to say on his own. He said them. And he found his feet and then his voice. Nobody was outshone at that desk. The same charisma that once had to take every room had learned to light one man's lamp. That is not less power. That is power that has come home. So here is how I hold Law 1 now. Respect it because it is real, and the graveyard of careers is full of people who thought talent was a defense. Read the room because some kings must be allowed their evening. but do not let the law talk you into burying the gift. The dimming and the blazing are the same exile wearing different masks. The work is to know who is deciding when you shine. Here is your question for this law, and it has two edges. When you shine, who is it for? And when you dim, who taught you to? Do not answer quickly. Take both questions into one real room this week, a meeting, a dinner table, a stage, and watch what your light does when you are not watching it. What you see there is the beginning of the work. Shine on purpose. Nothing less was ever the assignment.
End of Law. One of the 48 Laws of Power, a summary and shadow commentary by Seth Czerepak, based on his book, Awaken Your Shadow. Law. Two weights, the law of friends and enemies, and the wound that decides which is which. Come forward.